What is going on, everybody? Welcome to the Final Fandom Empire streams. It is July the 9th, 2024, almost 7 years from when we begun this venture. It's been a heck of a ride, a lot to come. It's not like it's the end, but it is the end for Fandom Empire. This channel officially turns into Haddonfield and beyond tomorrow, where you'll be able to get all sorts of short form content. Early on, we're going to be focusing on Halloween Retribution in many different ways, the Lost sequel. We're also going to be taking a look at the Halloween TV series, what could be, what might not be. And then Dean will also have show, share, and slash for you. And actually, some of that material is already recorded and already being edited and basically set to go here. So tonight's about ending things on the right note. It's a little emotional. A lot of people have come, a lot of people have gone. Some are still here, but without contributions from all of them, the show doesn't exist. Without contributions and communication from the audience, the show doesn't exist. Whether it was streams where we had 300 people in it, or streams where we had, 2 people in it. It's been all over the place. YouTube algorithm does weird things. This is the way it's going to work tonight. Part 1 is going to be Friday the 13th. And we're joined right now by one of our sponsors, and we'll get to him in just a second. Contributor on the channel, too, over time. Part 2 will kick off in about half an hour time. And that's going to be all David Gordon Green Halloween Trilogy, probably a major focus on Halloween Kills. And then we're going to break for an hour and come back, and the small group of you that supported Star Wars content on the channel will get one final hurrah for that as well. Without further ado, my partner in crime, Mr. Mean Dean Renner. What's going on, man?
What's up, everyone? Happy to be here tonight. Made it in here just about on time, and excited to kind of get into like this final live stream for quite some time for us. So it should be fun, should be exciting.
Also joining us, massive contributor to the channel, whether it's on the mic or playing a cop in unreleased fan films to this point, but also a sponsor at the channel. He does great content himself over at Backtrack Cinema. It's Mr. Jason Knight. What's going on, buddy?
I don't think you're getting... Oh, there you go. I'm good, buddy. I'm good. Thank you for having me on for one last hurrah on Fandom Empire, and thank you for always being a good friend and, recognizing my channel when I was only just a small YouTuber. So I appreciate it.
Yeah, we wouldn't be here without you, man. I really appreciate the content that you put out. And in some way, some of the changes that we're making is a little bit inspired by what you've gone and done with Backtrack Cinema.
Yeah,
so.
I thought I want to talk old movies. A friend of mine helped me come up with the name about Backtrack Cinema, and I thought, man, that's perfect. That's perfect. Kind of says everything what I talk about, kind of. So, yeah. So you're gonna do well, I think. Whenever you rebrand, I found a lot of people come at the beginning, so I think it's a good move. To be honest.
I don't know if we'll have that luxury because the channel's not moving. It's still going to be this channel. When you do sort of channel, YouTube does give you a bit of a boost, especially now. We've seen it on our Legacy of Westeros channel. We've seen it on our College Nation channel. So this is definitely going to be more, pushing the short form content. And not that we're never going to do live streams, but when we do a live stream, it's going to be very much like an event like tonight. Here to have fun, here to watch a movie. There's a lot of people to thank tonight, a lot of old faces returning. Someone told me there's a special guest getting on towards the end of the second part of the stream. I don't even know who that is, so fingers crossed on that. I don't know how that's going to go. Let's dive right into it, though. Part 1's Friday the 13th. We only got about 15 minutes to talk about this, man. When I was piecing together what I wanted to talk about on this last stream, Friday the 13th was definitely one of the things. And immediately the first name that came to mind was yours, Jason. I know how big of a Friday guy you are. I mean, you're representing the brand right there on your t-shirt. Crystal Lake gets to a point where it's 2 months from shooting. Brian Fuller, madly successful with his Hannibal TV series. The budget balloons to $85 million for 8 episodes. It was going to be a much different take, a more serious take on Friday the 13th, much like he did with Hannibal. And, studio interference, inexperienced studio executives getting in the way, ultimately led to some sort of dismissal or walkout, or, different places reporting different things. And now Friday the 13th fans are once again left waiting. And I know they've tried to put out like some additional video game content, and that's great and all, but it's not a movie. It's not a TV show. It's very minor things. How do you feel at this point, not just for yourself, but for Friday the 13th fans, on what happened with Crystal Lake and where your hope level is for seeing any future Jason content?
Well, yeah, it sucks, man. It really does suck that the studios can't get such a simple concept fucking right. Like, it's about a mother's love for her son, a son's love for the mother, revenge, a curse, a revenant, all that kind of stuff is beautiful stuff in there that they've never tapped into, and they can't get it right. The fan films get it right. A lot of fan films have got a lot of things right about Friday the 13th. That's what's frustrating, is that why can't you people figure this out? And I don't know what happened. I don't know if they were going with a Pamela story and studio said, no, this is not going to do it. And that's what it sounds like. That's what it feels like.
And the premise of season 1.
Yeah, and they want Jason just right in there. But we've seen this hack and slash, date movie kind of thing. I was ready for something more serious and something tapping into psychological horror. And it is upsetting. And Friday the 13th fans have been, man, what's 2009? This is like ridiculous. This is ridiculous. Like, it's one of the biggest IPs in horror. And that definitely, maybe even the biggest IP in slasher, for a pure slasher. You know what I mean? It does suck, but hopefully it will get on track at some point. Hopefully they can come to some agreement with making movies. But fan films have really carried the torch here and got us through it.
Dean, your thoughts once again on the Friday the 13th franchise and where it is now?
Yeah, it's been 15 long years since 2009. I would have liked to see at least one maybe sequel for at least that movie. But the mess with Crystal Lake, I'm on the same track as Jason. I would have liked to see kind of like the origin and the prequel and what would have happened with Pamela Voorhees, a young Jason. I know the plan for the most part was something along those lines, and eventually the lead up to a more adult and the Jason that we know. Would have been great to see that, but we have an entire hack and slash series based all around those movies. So this was the chance to do something a little bit different and try to bring in an existing fan base and also a new audience. And, studio interference, gets in the way. And unfortunately, it ruined that. So hopefully it picks back up and gets somewhat back on track, and they kind of get their ducks in a row and move forward with it. Hopefully use at least some of the concept that they were going for, and then, maybe change directions midway through the series to lead up to a season 2.
Yeah, I like Jason wanted that deep psychological dive. They were, targeting some, high level talent for that show. At the end of the day, as much as I wanted it, $85 million for a Friday the 13th show, just one single season,
Expensive.
8 episodes, is a little out of hand. But you hired him to come on and do that. You knew what you were getting into. The type of, looks like StreamYard's having problems here today. We've lost Jason. Now we've lost Dean. Jason's still here. Did it kick you up? Like, what happened there?
I don't know. My internet's got bars, so I don't know.
No idea. Typical. Anything that could go wrong is going wrong so far. What a way to end. We had an opportunity to get in a fantastic show that, frankly, I might have been looking forward to more than the upcoming Halloween TV series, just because of the talent behind the camera with Brian Fuller. Like I stress to anybody out there, if you've not seen Hannibal, I get if you're fixated on Silence of the Lambs, but give Hannibal a shot. It's talent in front of the camera, behind the camera, one of the best psychological horror shows you will ever watch.
Yeah, and I actually never seen it yet, but I know the talent of the man. But I've never actually seen the show. But he comes with credentials, right?
Oh yeah.
You mentioned the fan films. Obviously, you're referring to Never Hike Alone, Never Hike in the Snow, Never Hike Alone 2. Just an incredible. Their name's slipping me, Dean. Who did them again?
Vincent DeSanti.
Yeah, Vincent DeSanti.
Womp Stomp Films.
Yeah. Womp Stomp. Yeah.
And now they're involved in I think they're co-producing a Batman film noir project. I do worry about the level of success they might have with that just because of how oversaturated Batman is. But for my money, when you look at the 3 movies that they did and the quality that each one only got better in terms of quality, in terms of writing, in terms of performance on screen. If you're a Friday fan, cling to those. If there's an opportunity to, purchase them on Patreon or whatever, I don't know if there's an opportunity to get the physical media of those anymore. But if there is, you should jump on it, because at this rate, who the hell knows when we're going to get something Crystal Lake related, Friday the 13th related. But they deserve all the credit in the world for keeping that franchise relevant on screen.
Yeah. I'll hop in real quick. I do have those coming in. They ran the Indiegogo campaign a little while ago. I think it's still up and available. About a month or so ago, I think it was still active. You could go on there, buy perks, and pick those copies up. So I'm still waiting on those. The last update I got was, I think, somewhere around late May or early June. They were supposed to be getting ready to receive those and then finally start putting orders together to start shipping. So I'm thinking probably this month. I'm hoping. I have to check my email, see if I have an update yet. But I should have all 4 of those Never Hike Alones coming in soon. So once I can get my hands on those, look out for a show, share, and slash on all of those.
Yeah, I got the first 2. I still got Never Hike Alone 2 coming. I know that, nice. But I've already got the because I was a fan before the first one. Like, when it first come out. So I've been a fan for a while of these, just the tone he went for and everything. So yeah, I'm excited.
I wish there was some hope to offer Friday fans. Yeah. But it just really feels like it's in purgatory yet again. I think you might legitimately be able to start joking around about who's going to get will Friday get a movie or a show before Star Wars actually releases another movie? I don't know. My guess is Star Wars is going to come out before Friday does. And if you asked me that 2 years ago, I would have said you were nuts. Yeah. Here we are 2 years later, and I feel for the fans. Say what you want about the people who own the rights. It's a mess still. The fans who pour their hard-earned money into that franchise, into the merchandise, into the physical media, into fan films, like My Special Boy 2 from was it James Grimm that did that one? And Braden
Taylor one too.
I feel for all them because they deserve something. Like by the time we get another Friday movie, you will have seen Rob Zombie's Halloween 2, the entire David Gordon Green Halloween trilogy, and probably the Halloween TV series, and maybe another Halloween movie. That is batshit nuts.
Yeah.
I always thought it would have been great to see all of the Freddy come back, Michael come back, and Jason, and having this competition like it used to be in the 80s. Well, Michael there was a time and it was just Jason and Freddy, but you guys know what I mean. Like having there's a new Nightmare movie, and then a Halloween movie comes out. Oh, then Friday the 13th coming out, and just you have a decade of that again. Would this be awesome?
Yeah.
And money, money it would make.
Yeah, it would kind of be like a a small, like, I don't want to say like resurgence, but like it would have lit the flame for a new wave of horror, to kind of tap into nostalgia and bring it back. But also, like you said, the competition, the fun to going back to the movies again and seeing all these coming out on the big screen, the opportunity to own them and be able to go back and rewatch and all of that would have been great. But yeah, I think they kind of timed that out poorly. We did get all the old remakes that, if you look back, they did come out in the order that they came out way back in like the 70s and 80s. So when they did the remakes, you did have Texas Chainsaw, and then Halloween, and then Friday the 13th, and then Nightmare. They all did come out kind of in the same order that they did originally, but they were most of them were kind of like one-off, just remakes. You did get a sequel for H2, and you got a sequel for or more of a prequel for Texas Chainsaw. But we got stuck with the 09 Friday, that's last movie, and the 2010 Elm Street remake, which is that's touchy subject.
Yeah.
Hey, now don't say stuck with the 09 Friday movie. That's my favorite Friday.
True.
I know it's
It's good.
Popular opinion, but I don't know. I really like what they did with that, and I like Derek Mears. So, You mentioned Elm Street. That's the last thing we'll touch on here before letting Jason go and bringing in the old Fandom Empire crew. It seems like Elm Street is also going to get another movie before Friday does. All indications seem to be, according to the Hollywood Reporter, Bloody Disgusting. I think Variety also picked up on it. Dean, remind me of who's doing it. I believe it's Blumhouse, Universal, and is the other one New Line? Is it a joint project?
Mm-hmm. It's along the lines of a joint project with Jason Blum and James Wan. So they're coming together on their new company called Atomic Monster. They're going to be like a new horror brand studio for horror films. It's a combination of them and then getting together with, I believe it's New Line Cinema. And, they have this mysterious new project that they want to bring forward and tap into something ancient, they call it. So, it's a little bit arguable that is Elm Street really ancient right now? 40 years in cinema, that's a long time. So that was another hint. And you have all these companies coming together to kind of bring us this new project, I think by 2026.
Do you guys find that an odd pairing? Blumhouse and James Wan?
I would say a little bit, but they're both kind of heavy in the horror space. So
I think it's it's money driven, right? It's financially driven.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's the popular thing to do now. How many companies have fused with other companies? Disney bought Fox, and then you had oh my God, what is it? Warner Brothers and Discovery. Now they might be adding a third one to that family. Apple's rumored to be making some big moves. Like it's crazy out there, man. Anyways, Jason, what do you got going on at Backtrack Cinema, man? Looks like you've been doing a lot lately.
Well, lately I was freaking struggling with pneumonia for 2 months, like almost. So
Lord.
I was out at the beginning of May. I was doing the Planet of the Apes stuff. And I still went to work and everything. It was like a walking pneumonia, but it killed me coming home. I was sleeping all the time. But I'm back now. I just released my top 30 80s slasher films, which was a lot of fun because I wanted to talk about all the underrated ones, not just the heavy hitters. So a top 30 was good. I'm just kind of going through some big ranking videos. I'm going to be doing some canon films. Like I just did the Delta Force. Probably going to do, I'm going to be doing some 90s reviews. Like I think I'm going to do Braveheart and Speed soon. Not just kind of taking it easy. I got some big rankings coming up though, like my top 100 movies of all time. One I wanted to do for a while now, so I finally got it in plan and prep. So it's I got my list. It's just a matter of recording it, putting it all together. So there'll be some good stuff in the summer. Getting pneumonia kind of put a wrench in my content because I had a lot of plans for things, but it is what it is.
Yeah, I can relate. Not the pneumonia thing, but the heart attack's pretty bad too, and the content takes a back seat to that. And even now, I find like I'm glad that I have people on because like if I was to try to get on here and do a 1 hour stream myself. I attempted to the one time. By the end of it, it was like I just ran a marathon. I'm like, oh my god, somebody tag me out, please.
Yeah, it's exhausting. Like, people don't realize when you do live streams all the time. That's why I just couldn't stay up late no more doing them. Like, it's just too hard. So I try to get like you. I'm trying to get more of an event or more of a watch a movie or so. I kind of like the shorter content, and the big ranking videos. They get a lot of watch time too. So
everybody wants their wants their cake and wants to eat it in about 2 minutes and 30 seconds and then move on to something else. So Dean and I are adjusting with Haddonfield and Beyond. We got a great Westeros team, a Star Wars team, and then
that's all staying, right? Still gonna, okay. I was just making sure. I wasn't sure.
YouTube now will they want, if you're a smaller channel, for you to focus on basically 2 or 3 topics at most that are somewhat connected, and it will push your content more. And we did some testing on our NASCAR channel with that. Ryan and I have a NASCAR channel, and the traffic has blown up over the last months to a point where it's more traffic over there than the rest of the channels combined. It's hard to keep up with.
It's crazy. Like, if I all of a sudden started talking superheroes, I don't think it would go over well. Like, you know what I mean? I try to stay with my wheelhouse, but sometimes I'm just, because I'm a movie fan, I like everything. So that's the hard part with the algorithm, is like, throw me a bone here sometimes.
Well, there you have it, Mr. Jason Knight, Backtrack Cinema. Thanks for your contributions over the years, man. Thank you for being a channel sponsor, a brand sponsor, and just a good dude. The content creation game can be a verbally violent space, and filled with bitter people who just want to slash at one another and have a dick waving contest. And you've never been that way, and I'm probably guilty of being that way at times in the past. I try not to be like that anymore, but you've always been just a outstanding person, great human being, and I enjoyed watching you and Kieran die on camera. That was a lot of fun. So,
it was a lot of fun.
Stuff we can probably release. The whole movie, there's reasons we can't, but I've actually been showing Kieran some screenshots over the last few months, so maybe we'll see what comes of that. Anyways, their channel sponsors: Jesse Storytime Spectacular, Jason Knight, Backtrack Cinema, Chris C _78 if you want work done on a Michael Myers mask, Colleague Nation run by Ryan, and Whitfield Productions, Matt Whitfield, which leads me to a not good piece of news here, and that is Matt has suffered a very serious health problem, and I won't get into what it is, but I have his permission to talk about it a little bit. This channel wouldn't have had several of the opportunities it's had if it wasn't for Matt and Jason and other people who have backed us like they have. As someone who went through a really bad health emergency and still struggles with the recovery for it, one of the most uplifting things is knowing that you have people there for you. And one of the most down-putting things is when you think that there should be people there for you that aren't there for you, and that happens. And I just want Matt to know that we're all thinking about him. I believe he's watching right now. So we love you, buddy. I know you're in the fight for your life. We're here for you. We're not going anywhere, and we just want you to get better as soon as you can, pal. That being said, if you haven't tuned into a previous Fandom Empire live stream before, it kind of gets crazy and wacky and wild. And, when you get two fat Canadians, a fit Canadian, a crazy horror movie guy, and a crazy, wacky, nerdy guy on one stream together, who knows what the hell's going to happen. So Halloween talk is next. The David Gordon Green Halloween trilogy. In the meantime, here's a look back at our past. Enjoy. Welcome back to Fandom Empire Live, and I have no fucking clue how this is going to go, but let's see what happens. Joining me first, he was the host of the Rick and Morty fan show. He has been reviewing the Acolyte Star Wars series with us on the channel, which, by the way, 2 weeks in a row we said we're not going to do it again on this channel, but tonight we're going to do it again on this channel because that's just what we do. It's Kieran. What's going on, man?
Wait, what are we not doing?
We weren't supposed to do the Acolyte on this channel. We were supposed to do
Oh, okay. Wait, what was I not supposed to do today? You didn't tell me. Going pretty good, actually. I'm kind of enjoying my time off. Of course, I work in a school, so I get the summer off. Kind of enjoying it. So, having a good time.
Also joining us, he's the man known for going to fuck himself. It's Mr. Tommy B.
Oh, that's an old one.
Oh, this is an old one.
Oh, why you gotta do me like that?
What's happening, dude?
I'm hanging in there. I'm doing my best. Got a long day ahead of me tomorrow, but I am here as long as I can be, and it's bittersweet, right? Because watching some of those picks was great. But,
hair. It's gone.
Oh, it's been gone for a while. You know that. Yeah, my hair though, back when it was down at some points down to like here.
You actually look like my old neighbor in some of those pics.
That
wouldn't be a good thing. No. Hey,
I've never heard you say a good thing about a neighbor.
No.
And it was several different neighbors.
Or anyone for that fact.
Probably says something about me. Also joining us, he was one of the co-hosts at Star Wars Wastelands for many, many years. One of the guest hosts here at Fandom Empire Live, really chimed in on our Halloween projects. I think, if I recall right, the first ever watch-along we did on Fandom Empire was on the Facebook page. It was Halloween H2O, and it involved this guy. Thankfully, he left the terrible hat somewhere that's not on stream tonight. It's Johnny. What's going on, man?
It's in the living room right now, but I
How
may have to bring it out for the second half. I don't know. We'll see.
Oh God.
No, I'm excited. It's a fun changing of the page. And it's exciting, bittersweet. It's all those things all wrapped up into one.
George remembers Tommy before Halloween Kills. I do too. Completely different person. Hated on everything. Not a true fan. Nowadays,
look what you did to me. You ruined me.
And last but not least, the guy who's been co-hosting a lot of what's been going on in Fandom Empire for the last year. It's Mr. Mean Dean Renner. What's going on, buddy?
What's up, gentlemen? What's going on? It's good to see all you guys again. It's been how long?
It's been a long time. A long time
Yeah.
since we've been here, and we got the next 55 minutes here to just dive back into the David Gordon Green Halloween trilogy. There was a shot during the footage there. Let me tell you, going back through the old videos to find some of those images was a massive pain in the ass because of the way YouTube does it, and you just keep scrolling and scrolling and scrolling. So that was difficult. But how the fuck did we get through a Halloween Kills review the night of with 8 different people and have it be the least bit coherent? I think I need to go back and listen to what my thoughts were there, because it's hard enough with 4 or 5 people on stream. We get 4 people nowadays. I'm just like, no, it's too much. 8 people, and then we had another guy come on later in the show. It's technically 9 people.
We were like Hollywood Squares that night.
Yeah.
Is that still a thing? Do they still do that?
No,
I don't know.
I don't think that's been a thing for like 20 years.
Someone tried to tell me Kids Zone was still a thing the other day. I'm like, I'm pretty sure you're wrong about that.
I mean, somebody else has probably incorporated the name by now.
Wouldn't be surprised. So I don't like. It's just kind of free for all here. So by the way, if anybody in the chat wants to send in a super chat and support Haddonfield and Beyond going forward, feel free to do so. But honestly, just get your comments in the chat, and we'll get to the ones that we can. It's been very active already and quite hard to keep up with. but we'll see if we can highlight any. The David Gordon Green Halloween trilogy, obviously 2018, came out in 2018, had the opportunity to be at TIFF. That was kind of the birth of Fandom Empire at that time. We thought we were going to get Halloween Kills in 2020. There was a bunch of leaks that this channel covered. There was a script leak that this channel covered. So where do you want to begin, Kieran? I'm going to go over to you first, man. The David Gordon Green trilogy, it does not have to be in order. What are some of the things that you remember most, whether it's about the content creation, the audience, or the trilogy itself? Because if I recall, you weren't like the biggest Halloween guy going into it.
No, honestly, like coming on the channel, like I came on to do Star Wars stuff. Like I had my own Star Wars show and you contacted me. I think we had some mutual friends or something like that. And you were like, why don't you come on my Star Wars show too? And I was like, oh, okay. I guess we had mutual friends through Johnny and our football related friends. But, and I was like, oh yeah, sure. And it ended up being awesome. We had, I don't even remember what our Star Wars show was called at the time. But at one point I was like, I've seen all the Halloween movies. Like I could come in and do a little bit of content for that too, or whatever. And yeah, I'm not as crazy a fan about it as some of the other people we've had on before. But I think the most memorable, other than going to go see Halloween Kills with everyone, I think that probably is most memorable. On screen, I think the most was when we were talking about the leaked script, which I read. I know you read it. I don't remember. I think one of us did not read it. Like one of us declined to read it. But okay, there you go. But I remember reading that and like just being so giddy about it, and like I thought it was great. And when we got the script, that was the real script, not when we got the weird. I think we got like. At first, we had inklings that there was a script out there, and it was like the stupidest thing ever, and like we got like a fake script first. But anyways, I remember that being a very memorable time on this channel where we were all just so excited for Halloween Kills to come out, and I loved it. So I mean, not everyone loved it, but I loved it. So that was like the height of the time on Fandom Empire talk. About Halloween, at least. I had a great time when we had our random bullshit shows, which I made a lot of havoc and chaos on. And but I think when it comes to Halloween, Halloween Kills was the greatest time on this channel. I think it was just reading that script and going through that. I think that was around when we were doing some shooting for some Halloween content, and that was awesome. And honestly, like makes me really happy to think about that sort of stuff. I think Halloween Kills was kind of the height of this channel for me.
I think it's completely fair to say that this channel, Fandom Empire, that is, was never bigger than it was during Halloween Kills. We definitely had the luxury of getting a lot of things right even before having a script leak. But you are right about the history. There was a very fake script that came out at first, which was easy to debunk. And then there was like a 89 or 90 page one that lined up with some of the reports that I was doing on the channel. And at that time, I was just recording short form content. I don't think we were live streaming hardly at all back then. And I'm like, wait a second, this seems legible. And it didn't take long to figure out, oh, no, this is the real thing. And then there was the deeper one, which I think was like 121 or 122 pages. So
the one that we had, that was the first legit one, was 91 pages. I know because I still got it here. It's falling apart. Nice. But I still got it.
He doesn't know what he's holding up. It's a lie. No, those were fun times. Tommy, you as well, not a big Halloween guy, did a lot of Star Wars content. You were a big supporter of Johnny and I's previous project, Star Wars Wastelands, at channel 1138. How was it for you diving into not just Halloween and horror, but also getting to know a horror community?
It was weird. Y'all are weird. Like, I know weird. Y'all are weird.
You should.
To be honest, it's kind of like a coming home of sorts, if you know what I mean. I've said on the channel in the past, my mother was very into horror type stuff, and I kind of got to remember some of that, everything that came along with seeing some of my favorite old movies, or rather my mom's favorite movies growing up, some of the classics of sorts. And I just kind of dove in and I kept on going. I watched all the Halloween movies in a short period of time. I watched a bunch of the Friday movies. I went back and watched a whole bunch of other horror movies. Some releases that were really fun. Whereas when they were throwing those Fear Street movies on Netflix.
Another one coming, by the way.
Yeah, what's the deal with that? We heard about that a while back. Nothing since, right?
I believe they're shooting now.
Cool.
Which means next year is my guess. What a
Cool.
shock. Another 2025 release.
It's good shit. Good shit. I'm looking forward to it. Getting into horror, it's not something I've kept up with in the past year or so since, to the same degree, but it's something I've certainly have kind of kept up more of an appreciation for since I had before we dived in. It's been a pleasurable experience, if you know what I mean. Something I'm gonna remember and keep on keeping a place in myself for.
We'll dive into the trilogy itself here in a few minutes, but Johnny, Kieran mentioned the shooting of the film that him and I were doing, but honestly, the earliest stages of that were you and I writing something in a shoebox of an apartment one night at like 4:00 in the morning. And I think we watched Halloween 5 and 6 that night. For 6, I get why we chose to watch Halloween 5 that night. I don't remember.
Because we had the tape.
I don't know why we did that. I wasn't on drugs then, so I can't blame that either. But just your thoughts on the content creation and community side of the journey to Halloween Kills.
It was fun for me because, like the flip side of your coin is that, Halloween is your franchise, and it always has been. For me, it never was. I was always more of a Jason guy and a Freddy guy, and Michael was, at the bottom. Michael was at the bottom of my Mount Rushmore of, stalker heroes, and it was fun to be sort of that outside voice, and be the guy whose horror fandom didn't revolve around Michael Myers. And getting to experience it, as more of, like Kieran said, there was one of us that didn't read the script, and I was that person. And that was another fun experience. Getting to be the guy who could, freely speculate and wildly pontificate on things that might or might not happen, and, come up with theories and things I wanted to see without having any knowledge of what was actually coming was fun for me, because I didn't have the burden of knowledge going into that movie, which was fun, and I've enjoyed it. I've done it again, with Star Wars. I've taken more of that, just enjoy it, which is something sometimes you lose in content creation, is the ability to just enjoy it without that foreknowledge and forethought. And
I'm not taking this bait. I know what you do. You're Mr. Fucking Bait. You just want me to freak out right now, don't you? Star Wars.
We'll deal with that later, but I'm just generalizing. But it's fun being the guy who doesn't know what's coming, who doesn't know what's happening, and hearing you guys try and convey your thoughts on things are coming or happening, and seeing your faces when I'm guessing at something that is very close to what's actually going to occur, or I'm so far out of left field that I can see looking on your faces that you're just holding in that laughter of just how far off base I am. It was fun. I loved it. And, of course, building up to that experience of actually getting to see it with everyone. And, obviously the world tried to take a giant dump on that plan, but, we made it work in the time, and it was so much fun. You know, it was one of the, it was obviously, you know, for most of us, it was the first big thing we'd done in that time period, that it was nice to have that slice of normal in a time where nothing else was normal.
Yeah, I have very fond memories of that week. You know, my family, Kieran's family, Tommy, we really did our best to make the most of it, and it was fun. There are moments in the CN Tower that I won't bring up that I thought were hilarious, but
you mean me not being able to cross the glass border without walking like this much of a step every time?
It was
that was fantastic. I was so scared, like so scared, couldn't touch the glass, walking around like a baby.
It was not that bad.
About half an hour after I was still doing that, Sean's like, "Wait, you're not kidding, right? This is real." And I was like, "Yes, I'm really terrified. Like, this is really bad for me." And he was like, "Oh." He's like, "I thought it was a gag or something like that." I was like, "No!"
I mean, with you, it is hard to tell sometimes.
I do like to make things up every once in a while. I try to be entertaining.
Flix asks, the long wait an extra year for kills, good or bad? For this channel, it was good. You know, I wish I could say it was bad. It was good. We really were able to stretch out our content. It was very difficult to talk about in a non-spoiler manner a lot of the time, and a lot of the time our talk was very much like hinting and trying to, you know, talk around the spoilers, which is very difficult when you know every little detail that's going to come out. But we did the best we could with it. Dean, you were the late to the party guy here, man. Mm-hmm. What brought you to the channel, and just how was your journey to Halloween Kills?
So oddly enough, it was everything Halloween Kills. Tried to stay spoiler free while getting details without having the whole movie be ruined. Between all of you guys here and then a somewhat close friend of mine who he was kind of in the know and knew the right people, the right places. He was feeding me info, and then I'm watching you guys. I just kind of stumbled across your channel. I think Halloween Kills was probably stuff I was looking up on YouTube. Probably a suggestion popped up. I kind of joined in just to kind of get the idea, like, what's this all about? So that was like my first kind of dive into kind of like peeking behind the curtain and getting details and finding all kinds of different stuff out. I was never really that deep into like the horror space, you know, big horror movie fan, you know, movies in general, but getting kind of behind the scenes and all that stuff was new to me. So little by little, I'm joining in on the streams and I'm in the chat and I'm kind of just hanging out just to hear what everybody's talking about. And it became fun. And it just kind of led up to me wanting to kind of interact more, getting to know people in the chat more, getting to know you guys more. And then safety's everything. And then, just after a while, kind of Sean reached out to me, all up to the lead up to when the movie was coming out. And then the movie hits, and I can say this now, I had the luxury of seeing it a couple of days early. And then we all went out on the Thursday night that it finally released, and we all got to see it at some point, which led to about, I think it was 9:30, maybe 10 o'clock at night, possibly later. All of us coming together and finally being able to kind of deep dive and unpack everything, which was a ton of fun. It was my first time joining you guys, my first time doing like a live stream like this. So much fun. And like Sean said at the top, how we pulled that off with like 8 people at that late at night for 2 hours was just a ton of fun, but holy shit.
Almost 3 hours. I went back and looked today, 2 hours and 44 minutes.
Wow.
I'm going to go back and watch that stream and see how chaotic it is.
You'll see the growth of this collection next to me. Like, it's funny. You see it like little by little, and now it looks like it does.
Let's get into the actual content itself, guys. So 3 movies, Halloween 2018, Halloween Kills, Halloween Ends. I'm not going to pass it off to each person. We're just going to start with 2018. I'm going to say what I thought, and then feel free to chime in. And if arguments happen. We have basically 40 minutes here to talk about 3 movies. The focus should probably be on Halloween Kills, but we'll touch on the other 2. Halloween 2018, I seen at TIFF. It was one of the most incredible theatrical experiences of my life. The Winter Garden Theaters in downtown Toronto was a spectacle. That movie, for me, in retrospect, we're 6 years removed from that now. I don't know if they could have made a better soft reboot movie than Halloween 2018. Could it have been more graphic? Yeah. People maybe wanted more cameos or more returns or whatever, but in terms of just telling a story that is a continuation from the original movie, even today, I think they aced it. Who wants to follow?
I missed out because the first time I saw that film was on my TV. Really kind of wish that I caught that movie specifically in a theater in the full theatrical experience. But it holds up in my mind in some categories as the best movie of the trilogy. Not all, but some, quite a few, honestly. I agree with what you said. It was great. When you look at the overall picture of the whole franchise, I don't know if they could have done a better reboot. Period. Who's next?
I think it's like undisputedly the best film of the trilogy. Like, I like all three movies, but I think this one just like it fits in so well with the old movies. It fits in so well with the new movies. It's like I don't want to say it's a perfect film or anything like that. Like, I don't normally believe in anything being perfect, but honestly, like there's very few things that I have an issue with. It's like there's quite a few moments that give you the hair standing up on your arms. Like when he first puts on the mask is just like, oh, it's amazing. It's tremendous. Like, and like starting off in the way it starts off in the insane asylum there, like, and when it breaks into the music, it's perfect. Like there's so many great moments, and like for not being graphic, like like he drops a bunch of teeth on the ground after bashing someone's face, and like there's some pretty good stuff there, and they did Lordy really well. I don't. There's not really much to complain about. Like I think the trilogy kind of goes like. Once again, I like all three movies, but the trilogy kind of goes like a little bit of a step down, and then the third movie obviously has a ton of controversies, so I'm sure we'll get into later. But like, it's a fantastic movie. The first one is fantastic. Like, if you're a person who's like that new trilogy sucks, you are probably like a lot of those people. I think still like that movie. I think a lot of people are like, either they really dropped off on kills or they really, really dropped off on ends. So I think a lot of those people loved 2018.
Yeah, I mean, 2018 was so much fun compared to again, if you've been around here long enough, you know that going into the original Halloween, I wasn't sold on the idea of the production team.
No, you weren't. I remember.
I was not at all, and I was very happily proven wrong in their ability to, authentically make what felt like an original piece of Halloween. You see some of these other production crews come in and it's like, oh, this is hot trash. And I was afraid of that. I was definitely afraid that these guys were going to come in and it was going to lean more on the campy comedic side, because that was my experience with them. And they came in with the right attitude, with the right plans, and they told a story that fit in perfectly, that I would argue it is the best Halloween sequel, period. And it's amazing to think that they pulled that off enough that I came around on it. I didn't go out to a theater to see it. I didn't see it until, I don't want to say it was December, when the year it had come out, and
I believe I watched it.
Yeah, I watched it with you, and it was so much better than I thought it was going to be. And I was happy about that, and it pulled me around to them as a production crew, and I really wish they'd have stopped at one. But we'll get around to that.
For me, I'm going to piggyback off a couple of points you guys made. I agree a lot with what Kieran brought to the table, and Sean, as far as it was a really good soft reboot. It was a way to kind of dip their toe in the water carefully at first. Everything that Kieran listed, they're great positive points about the movie. A couple of slight changes I would have made. I would have liked to see a little more suspense, lean back into 78 more and give us more of what we knew, being that this was a direct follow-up to 78. So I think it was a little bit lacking in that department, but still kind of there enough to at least be somewhat effective. A few more of the kills I would have liked to see on screen. That would have definitely sold me a little more, like kind of find that balance of keeping kind of the mystery, but let's see more of these kills. Like that's pretty much what we're there for. And then Johnny made a point just now. As far as the production team coming in and being on, a pretty good page. I feel like for the most part, that's right. I would agree with that. I was skeptical myself of Danny McBride coming in. I was like, what is he going to do with a Halloween movie? Like this could be something. Let's kind of see. I feel like you can pick where, things that he wrote, you can pick those out pretty easily. The one thing I disagree with, not making too many changes. This change didn't make it to the movie, thank God. But they wanted to change the ending of 78. And if it wasn't for Carpenter stepping in and saying, hitting the brakes and saying, no, don't, we could have had a very controversial, I think, opening for 2018. So luckily, that's the stop that they did make. Other than that, though, I would say for the most part, for these guys kind of being rookies in the horror department, I would say solid effort with 2018.
I just want to say, I think it's a really interesting point that your points were more like you would have liked to see more on-screen kills and more at 78. And then, we didn't get the movie right away, but when we got kills,
right,
they did those things pretty good, right? We got a big, we got a scene that almost everyone loves of 78, right? And then we got a lot of kills, a lot of right in front of us kills. So kind of cool that like your points got hit on in the next movie
later, right? Yeah. I think it was kind of like the uncertainty. Like, did we know that sequels were coming? We had an idea. They left it open-ended, but we weren't really sure. And then it does $255 million at the box office, and that basically kind of sealed the deal. And we end up getting, announcements for Kills and Ends not too far after 2018 had its theater run.
I want to bring everybody's attention to this. Even some of the people on this stream right now might not know. Grimnox Productions, run by James Grimm. Incredible artist. He did, I believe he's part of My Special Boy. Was he the main guy behind it, Dean?
I think so, pretty much, yeah.
So, which is a Friday the 13th fan film. He's an incredible mask maker. He is doing a Halloween film called Halloween Aftermath. And it takes place between Halloween Kills and Halloween Ends. And this isn't like fan film level quality.
Mm-mm.
This is like close to major motion picture film quality, on the level of like an It's Me, Billy, or a Never Hike Alone. In my opinion, what him and Braden Timmons are doing, Braden Timmons with The Last Nightmare Part 1 and Part 2, which Dean and I got a peek at today. So thank you for that, Braden. Can't really say more than that. But James might have the highest quality Halloween fan film you will have ever seen. And we got to debut some of that footage on the channel a few months ago. And I think if you don't, it fooled the internet the last couple of weeks. They thought it was an actual Halloween movie that's coming out. It's a fan film. It's not fake. It's a fan film. And they're bridging the gap between Kills and Ends. And that'll come out next October. You definitely want to look out for that. If you're a fan of these movies, they are knocking it out of the park.
Mm-hmm.
You got to have really big balls to cover that topic of in between those two movies. So like, that sounds like super interesting. Like, cause there's a lot you can do before that to make those things kind of like bridge the gap. That like, it's a great idea, but I think that's a lot to take on. That's pretty cool. I applaud Mr. Grimm.
Mm-hmm.
I don't want to talk about how big James' balls are because I don't know. But it's definitely an enthusiastic project, and
I had to show you to get on this channel. You don't do that anymore?
I have no idea what you're talking about.
My question is if this fan film project adds some redeeming quality to that last film, because that film sucked.
Oh God, here we go.
I'll say the short answer is yes. We got to see about 10 minutes of footage, and so far I think it's living up to that hype.
Well, thank God, because they did not do a good job making the film on its own.
Mm-mm.
Kills was good. Kills was good. I enjoyed Kills, especially the kills.
I like Ends. I was like, it went in a lot of different directions, and of course, like I understand people being angry with the direction that it went in, but I just remember enjoying the film and being interested in where it went and liking the new character that they brought in, and I get that it was like, Michael was a secondary thought in that movie, which is the fuckiest thing to do to people. I mean, it's like, I understand people being upset, but like, I have a different opinion when I go into movies and shows, and quite often this happens where Sean will be like, but this is wrong and that's wrong and this is wrong, and my opinion is always like, well, did I enjoy it? And I'm always like, yeah, I enjoyed it. I actually enjoyed the whole movie. I was in it. I don't know, like, a lot of times the like storytelling flaws or things with budget or things with runtime and stuff like that, like, it's justified. It makes sense. Like, people who are big fans of the franchise, like, wait, you're going to end this and Michael's just kind of like in the background for a lot of the movie, and makes sense. But I'm always just like, I don't know, was I riveted? Yeah, I don't know. Was the acting good? It was really good for a horror movie. Like, it's usually a pretty low bar for some of these horror movies, but
right.
I mean, well, I guess in the last 5 to 10 years they've gotten a lot better. But yeah, like, I don't know. I'm always like, did I enjoy it? Yeah. So whatever. So I actually liked Ends quite a bit. I did think that it, like I said, 18 kills Ends, but enjoyed it.
What you doing?
There you go.
I actually need to step away for a second. So feel free to continue on. Halloween Kills, Halloween Ends. You guys take it away.
I like Kills. I know that it got a lot of hatred, a lot of crap, but I thoroughly enjoyed the experience. Of the trilogy, it might be the one I've gone back and rewatched the most.
Yeah.
It was pointed out by Sean when we were watching the film up in ye old land of the Maple Leaf with these two other gentlemen that the audio quality of the theater we were in was not that great. Do you guys agree with that? Do you remember that even?
I remember Sean complaining about it.
Yeah, I'm kind of with Kieran on that one. Even going back there since then, it's definitely not as good. Like when we were at the same theater for the episode 1 thing last month, and yeah, you could definitely be like, oh yeah, I forgot how bad the audio was here, and then you're watching it and it's like, oh, some of this is really bad. Doesn't sound as good as I would like it to. And again, part of that is, wondering, it's a remake of a movie from 20 years ago. Is that the problem? And then Tommy brings this up and you're like, no, I actually remember that being an issue then too, so maybe not. So it helps a little for that, but overall, Tommy's right. It's not... Of the theaters in the local area, it's definitely not my favorite.
And that's so crazy because it's a good looking theater. They got a good structure there. You would figure they'd be wanting to throw the money in there to keep those facilities top tier.
It's
they
definitely
pumped a lot of money into that theater recently too. It's like,
yeah,
it's very fancy and whatever, but the sound quality hasn't changed. I was just there with Johnny and Sean to watch the Phantom Menace, and like I could, like, I don't know. I mean, it doesn't bother me. I'm always like, whatever, if I can hear the words. But I do, yeah, it's different than the Cineplex, which is nearby us, which I think is much better. I think it's just it must just be the way they did the theater, like the acoustics and stuff like that. Because
I think so. Because we have
think
the
they're
same
just not
sound
putting
down
enough
here.
money into
Dolby.
their. I don't know.
It's more just the same name than same theater chain, though, Tommy. It's I don't think they're in any way corporately related. It's just the same name thing.
We've got the same sound,
right.
system stuff down here, Dolby and Atmos or whatever.
Yeah,
it's good stuff in our theaters.
Mhm.
Not in that one.
You got a bad one.
Shame.
You got a bad one. Like Kieran said, if we'd have been at the Cineplex in our actual city, the one we were in was sort of next city over, but it's like 5-minute drive, so it's the same. You know what I mean? But it's not. It looks better from the outside. It's one of those don't judge a book by its cover places.
Mhm.
That's one you definitely shouldn't, because the book looks great. Then you actually open up the pages and read it, and it's not good, which sucks because it's in such a better area, so much more around it. There's actually things around it,
And
whereas
they
the
have
other
pretzel
theaters.
lights there.
So with the audio quality in mind, and thinking, hey, maybe our first showing we didn't get the best presentation. Do you guys think we lost out on anything in particular?
A little bit.
Any particular, like, because we didn't have the best audio? Any specific scene in Kills?
Yeah, the scene where we're listening to the music and that dude's dancing. Big John and Little John. It's John, right?
Yeah, Big John, Little John.
John. Those guys were awesome.
Oh, God.
Whoever didn't like those guys in the movies, they were super entertaining. Loved it.
Yeah. I'll chime in here because I had kind of the luxury of seeing it in a standard theater and then a Dolby theater. So to kind of piggyback off the audio experience, Tommy, you probably know where I went. I was up in King of Prussia, so I got to see it up in King of Prussia at the nice big IMAX theater. I had to go to Jersey to see it in Dolby because I don't have a Dolby theater too close by. I think the one.
Where'd you go in Jersey?
It was actually borderline Voorhees, New Jersey, or Haddonfield. Oddly enough, when I got my ticket, it was listed in Haddonfield, which was kind of cool. But yeah, so standard experience was good. And then getting to the Dolby theater, that was like my first big Dolby cinema experience. Kieran, you brought up the Big John, Little John scene. That is exactly where my mind went when you talked about that. In the Atmos theater, when Michael's banging on the door from the front and the back of the house, you heard the sound coming from the opposite sides of the theater. So it was like, it was cool. Like, that's exactly the reaction I had. Like, you heard that loud bang on the front, and then you're looking at one side, and then the camera cuts to the back door, and you hear it from the other side. And the Dolby Cinema, I recommend that to a lot of people. If you've never done it, find a movie. Don't just pick something because it's an Atmos. Make sure it's something you want to go see in a Dolby theater because it's a little bit pricey. But well worth the experience. It was a whole new thing for me. So I had already, the first 2 watches on Kills were good enough for me. And then seeing it third and final in a Dolby theater that was like the icing on the cake. It was fucking awesome.
I mean, for me, it didn't so much, like, we might have lost a little bit on the initial viewing, but being able to basically come home and watch it again, the next day, because, we did the 10 o'clock review, like we did the after we watched it review, and then we did a review the following day as well. We did a second one. So, I was able to basically watch it again the next day at home with my own, audio setup. So, I got to hear and experience those things in a much more friendly sound environment. So, no, I don't think we lost it. Like, did we lose some? Yes. But, it made up for it the next day that there was no point when I'm rewatching it the next day with my own equipment that I'm like, oh, this sounds so much better here than.
How are you doing that?
What?
How are you doing that?
What do you mean? How was I doing that?
You didn't have Peacock in Canada.
Well, Tommy, what do you mean? Of course we did.
You didn't have Peacock.
I don't know what
still
you're
don't
talking
have
about, Tommy.
Peacock up there.
Tommy, I don't know what you're talking about. But being able to see it again the next day helped a lot. I went to the theater at the other end, Tommy. That's what I did. No, but seriously, it was fun. I enjoyed it, and yeah, it was better, but it doesn't take away from the other little things you get seeing it in the theater that you don't get. You get that obviously larger experience. You get the full theater experience. You get the people. It's different. It's not always better, but nothing was lost for me.
Sorry about that, fellas. Fatherhood called. Got to do what you got to do.
We're talking about audio and how you had some choice words for the audio in the theater that we first saw Kills.
Oh yeah, it was a pathetic fucking joke, a disgrace, a complete fucking bag of shit.
See, that's what I remember.
Tell us how you really feel.
Yeah, I look. I've become a quality snob, and the guy whose camera's below me hasn't helped with that. And even Kills was such a big lead up that to go, you do 2+ years of content coverage, you have great times, and then your first viewing of it ends up just being an audio mess. And not just like poor quality because of the theater, it was off a bit. Like, we watched it at my house. Kieran, were you there for the viewing 2 days later at my house? I think you were.
I think so, yeah.
Yeah. My cousin Ray was there. Yeah, you and Tommy were there. And the audio, and I didn't even have a great setup then, was way better on my TV at home, which I think is the point Johnny was making, than a movie theater. Like, that's disgraceful. Like, it's one thing if you say to your wife, let's go see, Bob and Joe blow an elephant. And you go see Bob and Joe blow an elephant, and it's like, whatever, you're seeing a random movie on a Wednesday night.
I'm concerned about your random movie tastes.
Yeah, I knew you were into weird shit, but
I can't find pre-orders for that anywhere, so I'll have to look.
Steel case.
This is the final episode. Might as well let it all out. Let us know all the weird shit you're into.
Speaking of which, I can't see the time right now. So what time is it?
It's 10 to 9.
10 to 9? Okay, so we'll go for 20 more minutes here. For those of you that don't know, we'll be back. It's a different stream, different link. Around 10 p.m., maybe a little bit before, knowing how short Star Wars episodes are. We do have a special guest joining us later. I don't know who that is, so we'll see how that goes.
Did you just say we have a special guest coming, but you don't know who it is?
Correct. I have no idea how that's going to play out. So,
okay.
That makes 4 of us, I guess.
Yeah, it's a favor from a friend. So we'll see. I'm trusting that this person's not going to, be a troll or anything.
Oh, are you?
So,
no, I hope you're not doing what I think you might be.
I have no idea. So if you know, please let me know. Anyway, have you guys taken some time to rank it yet? I've seen some comments earlier in the chat.
I started kind of hinting at a ranking earlier that, I think 2018 hits most categories for me. Are we talking like best overall film?
Yeah, 18 kills, ends. What's your order?
I don't know if I've always been this order. I would have to dig back in my iCloud and look at my note rankings. But I'd say release order for me. In fact, if I could put that last one even lower than release order, I would. It would go. It's toward the bottom of all of the franchise for me. That movie sucked. That's not Michael Myers.
I won't take up any more time because I've already kind of said they stepped down a little bit. Enjoyed them all, but they were a step down from each other. I guess the gap between kills and ends is closer to me than the gap between 18 and kills, because I did have some problems with the second and third movie, but I had almost no problems with the first movie. That was like might be top 2 or 3 in my list. If I can't remember last time I ranked them all, but yeah, it's 18 is very high on that list. So
I don't know. It's something Dean and I are going to have to look into when we're doing content on Haddonfield and Beyond. Is if you asked me even a year ago, my answer is probably 18 kills, ends, the release order. But as time goes, recency bias wears off. I got to tell you, I really like Halloween Kills. And I think that our viewing experience, it was cool to see it with all the people, but the theater presentation, let me put it this way. If I would have got to view Halloween Kills on the same level of quality that I got to view Halloween Ends on, or even Halloween 2018, I probably would have had a much different first night reaction. I'm almost scared to go watch my reaction, but I gotta watch that chaos. 8 people, just I don't know who the hell gets time to talk. So my answer is I don't know, but I do know it's either Kills or 18.
What a cop out shit answer.
It's Kills or 18. Kills just does so much that I like. And yeah, but so does 2018. Like, I think 2018 is Jamie Lee Curtis's best Halloween movie, which some people might scoff at, but I do. And Halloween Ends. My problem with that
certainly
is
didn't have the role in Kills. She did.
No.
Good, because after 2018,
Yeah.
With Halloween Ends, I'll say this, and I've said this for a long time. I don't have the actor's name. I always forget it. But the guy who played Corey Cunningham was Rohan Campbell. Fantastic in that film. Like, he might have the performance of the entire trilogy in that film. The guy deserves so many points. You don't have to agree with the storyline and where they go with it. But in terms of acting ability, his range was amazing in that movie.
Yeah.
The movie's cinematography, sound design, score is fantastic in Halloween Ends. But the fan fiction writing style of the movie kills me. The way knowing how they handled it behind the scenes kills me. And, you can avoid spoilers all you want. Chances are you're still watching trailers. And when your marketing is the final showdown, and that's not what happens, you get this 2-minute fight at the end in a kitchen. It's not the lack of Michael that bothers me, because I think you can have Michael not in the movie very much and have it come off great. I just think, one, they lied to their audience to get more asses in the seats, and it wasn't received very well. It's a mixed bag for me. It's not the worst Halloween movie. I don't think it's close to the worst Halloween movie. But my problem is they did so many good fucking things with that movie that the bad thing hurts it.
I remember commenting that fight was too long, because
oh wow,
she's like a 70-year-old lady. She should have fucking died immediately. Like, he like throws her, and it's like, do that to anyone who's that age. They die. They don't live anymore. They cease to exist. Like,
I'm 40 years younger. I'm dying
badass. Like, she could be the most badass Sarah Connor fucking old lady. She's still expiring after like 15 seconds into that fight. And I remember arguing that on the show. Like, that was one of the things I had a problem with. You guys like, oh, it should have been longer. It should have been longer. Like, she should have did this and that. I'm like, no, she should have like only had a couple of traps for him or something and never engaged in fighting him, because like it would be really bad in real life. So I remember having the exact opposite opinion of that fight. I know they did market it that way, but she should have been more like fucking Home Alone Kevin McAllister and set up some shit for him, because you can't fight him. Like, no. I don't know. I'm pretty sure I can go to the old folks' home right now and kill 100 people without being touched.
Okay, maybe we just backpedal that and edit that out of this last.
I didn't say I was going to. I said I could.
There you go.
And I wanted to.
Now you're covered. Make sure you make that point known.
And I do in the math,
make sure you wear the costume if you're going to do something psychotic like that, and don't involve us with it.
Well, yeah, they have security cameras.
Yeah.
Oh, because
the number for 911?
You got to wear a mask for that shit. If you're going to kill 100 old people.
Hello, operator. What is the number for 911?
Michael with the old guy in the kitchen and Kills, just stabbing all the knives in the guy's back.
Pincushion. Yep.
There's an old folks home like 5 minutes from me, you know.
That doesn't help your point.
No, it doesn't.
Me not calling said facility in 10 minutes, wanting them to beef up their security.
Dean, Halloween Ends.
Where we at? Ends? All right. First thing off the top is fuck that movie. But the beats that Sean hit on, technically it was done well. Story-wise, I think a lot of changes could have been done, and they could have probably tried to mesh both stories together and give us some satisfaction. If they wanted to introduce Corey and kind of follow Christine, you know, so heavily like they did, they could have partially accomplished that while still having Michael present and finally lead up to the final showdown. Like, I don't think they delivered enough. You guys mentioned, you know, it's really not that believable. Laurie is thrown over the kitchen island. Yeah, she'd be out and down for the count for sure. Setting the traps would have tied back into 2018.
I've done it. Yeah. I've done it. I flew over a counter before. It sucks.
It sucks, yeah. So she's really not getting up from that. And then she pulls a whole refrigerator over. Like, come on. Like, those things are heavy. Like, that's just not likely, not going to happen. Yeah, if they went the route of the traps, that would have been a lot better. It definitely would have kind of tied back into 2018. She's still kind of more true to form to her 2018 self. This whole kind of Betty Crocker, Susie Homemaker that we got, like, come on. They disregarded Karen. Like, there's a picture on the wall, and that's about it. That's the only reference of Karen that you get. They should have had her death take more of a toll on Laurie.
It did, dude. It did. She gets killed, and Laurie's free and can live her life.
Yeah,
do a time skip. So
yeah, I mean, I get it, but that's where I think the time skip should have been at most 2 years. Like, it should have took place 2019 or 2020. Bring it closer together. It still would have kind of had an effect. But yeah, overall, I mean, I stick it last in my ranking. If I'm ranking this trilogy, they fall in order of release, but I'm going to give a bit of kind of like bonus points to Kills for being like so balls to the wall, action filled. Firefighter sequence is awesome. You know, most of the kills, what they didn't do in 2018, they did there. So that's basically my ranking of the trilogy is in release order. With Kills being like the ultra slasher, the action packed kind of middle chapter. Ends can go fuck itself.
I can sum up Halloween Ends for me in 4 words. I'm glad it ended.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, if you pit Laurie Strode in Halloween Ends against Goku, I got to tell you, Goku's dying. So, but anyway.
Well, yeah, because Goku wouldn't attack an old woman,
and he always dies.
The runtime for the Star Wars show, by the way, says 44 minutes. So you subtract 7, 8 maybe. It's about a 35, 36-minute episode, which will put us on for about 10 o'clock, maybe 5 or 10 minutes earlier. Really quickly, before we get ready to wrap up here, guys, let's end on a positive note. Give me your favorite thing. We'll go around the table, Kieran, Tommy, Johnny, Dean. Give me your favorite thing from each of the Halloween movies, the David Gordon Green Halloween movies. I'll go first to give you guys a few seconds to think about it. For me, Halloween 2018, it's the ending, the score. They have Michael trapped in the fire. He's not scrambling. He's not trying to get his way out. He's just looking up at the 3 girls like, I'm going to fuck your shit up. Flames are behind him. It's just this incredible epic moment. Even though the other ending's pretty good that they didn't go with, I really like them going with this ending. Made Michael look like a badass. Halloween Kills has a bunch of great stuff. Flashback, though, like, so well done. Nostalgia done right. And Halloween Ends, if I'm picking just one thing, it's Rohan Campbell. His performance in the movie is just fantastic.
I'd have to say, once again, in 2018, when he takes the mask out and puts it on, it's like, I don't know, it's fantastic. I don't know. I can picture that moment very vividly in my head. Like, it's like a core memory of Halloween for me. So, love that part. Kills just quite a few things. I really love when he kills the old folks. Actually, I don't know why. I like killing old people. I guess I don't know.
That's really messed up.
I don't know. I don't know. Maybe I'm gonna kill people someday. I don't know. It might happen.
Kier's trying.
But yeah, like I don't know, it's brutal when he's like slamming the knife in over and over again, and like he stabs the lady in the neck with a light tube. It was I don't know. It was all crazy. It was like I don't know. I really thought that was cool.
She fucking lived.
It was funny. There was actually, as we talked about it, I remember thinking that Kills had a lot of problems, like more and more as we've talked about it now. So I'm gonna have to go back and watch them because I might actually be 18 and then Ends and then Kills. Although I do remember Kills was pretty cool. I don't know. Anyways, whatever. I have to go back and watch them again. I usually do when October comes around. So, and Ends. What is my favorite part about Ends? I really actually like. I mean, it's probably Corey Cunningham's character because I do think that I think the only like the comeback for that movie is that yes, there was too much of him in it, but he was fantastic. So like the character was really good. It would have been better if they took his story and just made a different movie with it. I think the problem is like if that was just its own movie, I think people would be like, oh man, it's a sweet horror movie. Like, but yeah, I don't know. Kind of mixed up with my thoughts on that movie now. But anyways, I think the same as Sean that he was fantastic in that movie, and I enjoyed it. I don't know. I guess I'm probably the highest on that movie in this group. So
I don't know, man. You were struggling to come up with good points there. Are you the highest on that movie in this group?
Okay.
Tommy B, what about you, man?
Yeah. So 2018, I really like the actual moving around the house and the battling that was going around with that. That was pretty cool to me. I really like how it kind of gave like a callback to the first film when Michael was out the window. Instead, this time we had Laurie out the window. Kills the riot scene. That was great. We all knew that was going to be great. And I mean, I could just steal your Kieran's answer for Ends, but I'll just say nothing. The credits. No, you offered good points. The character is good. Just shouldn't have been a Michael Myers movie. Could have been a Season of the Witch type thing, or a non-Michael Myers movie. But they didn't.
You know what's funny? We went through this whole thing without mentioning Evil Dies Tonight.
We don't got time to talk about that.
I had to go ahead and bring that up, didn't you?
We don't got time.
That could be its own episode. I'm just surprised we didn't touch on that at all.
See, now that you've done that, I have to write new a list because that was going to be my answer just to try and get a reaction. But now that you've brought it up,
we gotta go watch Star Wars. We don't got time for you to write a new list.
No, I really don't have to make a new list. For me, 18 is probably the first third. Building up to Michael getting the mask back and seeing him in the environment in the prison and the podcast and seeing Laurie trying to exist in a world where she knows Michael's still out there and is preparing for him to inevitably return. And at that point, she's the only one who expects it or thinks it's going to happen. I just love all of that building up moment until, Michael gets the mask back and puts it on and then business picks up. Kills, it's the park. I always love the park scene. The ambiance of that and seeing him sort of go back into being that I'm here, I'm not here, I'm there, I'm not there, presence in that park scene was great. And some of those kills in the park were also really cool. And interacting with the kids was fun because it's something we didn't really get as much of in the new trilogy. And the third one, the minute the credits started rolling so I could move on to something else. No, seriously though, like you've all said, it's Corey's performance. He's the only character in the movie that actually stands out in a good way. And, like we've said, in another environment, it would have been a much better story if they'd have told the story in a much different way. It would have been. He is not the reason that movie is bad. He is a good part of a bad movie. and it takes away, we make jokes and we laugh about that movie and we say bad things about it, but it's not because of him, it's because of everything else.
So for me, 2018, I'm glad kind of nobody touched on this, but the Michael's return to Haddonfield, the one take from him finally getting the mask back, the coveralls and everything, he's back in town, and then we get that awesome one take all through house to house, and Michael's back. I think it was a great kind of return to form. We're back in Haddonfield, and we finally have Michael back. So that for me, that's my favorite of 18. For kills, it's been mentioned in the chat. Surprisingly, no one mentioned it here. The flashback is definitely kind of probably almost the best part of that movie, but I feel like that's too easy of an answer. So I'm going to jump right ahead of that and go the firefighter scene. The firefighter, he escapes the house and takes out 11 firefighters, something we've really never seen before. People complain like, oh, how did he master hand-to-hand combat? Like, throw that aside. Turn your brain off for a second. Just enjoy Michael just decimating 11 firefighters. It was fantastic. The way they shot it, too, with kind of like the POV and the Halligan coming through the mask and all that.
I hated that scene.
I know you did.
All right, that's the end of the show. No more time.
Yeah. For ends, I will give it some bonus points. We've already kind of mentioned Corey. He's probably the best part of that movie. Nobody mentioned the junkyard. The junkyard. All those kills in the junkyard, I think that's probably one of the highlights. Imagine we get Michael in the junkyard, not Corey. Probably would have elevated it a little bit. But let's give a little bit of credit where it's due, because like Johnny said, it's a product of, a bad movie. It's Corey in a bad movie, not kind of the other way around. But yeah, Corey in the junkyard taking all those kids out and the lead up to the ending of the movie. I would say that's probably, it's highlight. And just to touch on my ranking one more time, in release order, 18 kills and then ends.
I can't think of the junkyard without thinking about the ending. And that ruins all of that for me.
Yeah, that terrible fucking funeral procession.
The worst scene in all of Halloween.
That's one of the worst scenes in all of horror cinema.
And that includes the Stooge cops in Halloween 5.
Yeah.
How many horror movies have you seen, Johnny?
Okay. Let me clarify that statement a little bit. It's the worst scene in all of horror cinema that's supposed to be serious.
Oh. It's fair. You haven't seen all the Leprechaun movies then, right? No.
That's different. I don't think they're trying to be serious.
All right, that is going to do it for part 1 of the Final Fandom Empire live stream. Unless Dean has taken a loving to Star Wars, I think this is it for him tonight. Maybe he'll pop in the chat later. We'll see what happens. But Dean, thanks for closing out this last chapter of Fandom Empire over the last year, and it's been a pleasure, and it's birthed Haddonfield and beyond, and really got my ass in gear to launch Westeros and the Star Wars stuff. And there's an announcement to make, so I'll announce it. I can't show you the graphic because I had to move from where I was. But there's content that we want to cover that doesn't fit into us following the YouTube algorithm. So like Haddonfield and Beyond is Halloween 1, Horror 2, and that third subject that we're going to get in there now and then is going to be Batman-related stuff. So Batman-related stuff will stay on the channel. I know Dean and I are going to cover the Penguin when it comes out. We'll see who else is interested in that. Joker 2's coming out as well. Hopefully the second Batman movie comes out at some point in time.
But you won't even talk about Harley Quinn.
James Gunn's in the process of destroying DC, so not much to say there. Then we have Westeros, which is obviously all George R.R. Martin stuff, Game of Thrones, House of the Dragon, Night of the Seven Kingdoms, and whatever shows they come up with. And then Star Wars is Star Wars, which makes you go, well, where's the other DC stuff go? When you want to talk supernatural, technically some of it's horror. You might be able to do it here, but we're going to stay away from that. Legacy of Smallville still planned. So we're launching a new channel. It's not going to be somewhere where we do content all the time. Don't look for it weekly, even bi-weekly. So you might get a few videos a month, and then you might not get any videos for 2 or 3 months. But we had to rename the Patreon with Fandom Empire ending. And the new channel is actually a name that Dean and I were considering before Haddonfield and Beyond. and that is Fandom Haven. So you can look out for Fandom Haven on YouTube, and Wolverine and Deadpool are coming out. I know the guy beside me here loves Wolverine and X-Men style stuff, and look at that tat.
The wall behind him.
There's behind him too. You're muted. I think
Helps to not be muted, pal.
Yeah, I think you.
I forgot my wallpaper is X-Men action figures.
So Fandom Haven's going to launch. It'll be the name of the Patreon, which is all the channels combined. Still only running one Patreon. We're not going to do 3. That's ridiculous, and I'm not getting taxed 3 times. But you'll see occasional content go over there, so be on the lookout for that. But most importantly, thank you to Kieran, to Tommy, to Johnny, to Dean, to Jason Nike earlier in the night, to everybody else who's ever appeared on air, in our chat, been a mod, helped out with the socials, been a part of the audience, and really helped this channel become what it was. We thank you, because all these other things would not be possible without the success of Fandom Empire. And I thank you all personally. And last but not least, our well wishes are with Matt Whitfield. Get better soon, buddy. You're a big part of this, and you have the support of everybody here, man. Much love, and we'll see you next time on Haddonfield and beyond.